Paramanandanaaya Om Bhagavate Anjani Nandana. Om Pratasmarami Hridhi Samsfuradatma Tattvam Satchit Sukham Paramaham Sagatim Turiyam Yat Swapna Jagara Sushuptam Avaiti Nityam Tad Brahma Nishkalamaham Nacha Bhuta Sangaha Tapo Bhikshina Papanam Shantanam Vitaraginam Mumukshunam Apekshoyam Atma Bodho Vidhiyate Bodhonya Sadhanebhyo hi Sakshan Mokshaika Sadhanam Pakasya Vahni Vajnanam Vina Moksho na Siddhyati. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, everyone. Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, everyone.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om. A very happy Hanuman Jayanti, especially for the Hanuman Bhaktas out here who connect with. I don't know how you can't love Lord Hanuman, but particularly to those who love him a little more. Okay, we'll start with questions. As you can see, I'm not in my usual place. I'm out and about, but I came like the wind, like Lord Hanuman, to this destination so that we can start class on time. So I have a hard stop today. I will have to leave at 8, but let's try to make the most of the next hour we have. So we'll start with questions. I think we had a bunch of questions, Rashmiji, before that. Did you already paste those questions again, or do I need to
So
scroll
these
back?
are the new ones.
Okay. Okay, I'll go through them quickly. Chapter 11, verse number 9. Arjuna finds it difficult to register that transcendental revelation. Arjuna struggle in registering that divine vision. And Sanjaya speaks eloquently of the Lord's glorious revelation, while during which time Arjuna develops the courage and strength to visualize that awesome form. Why does Arjuna need to develop courage and strength? What does it mean to visualize in this context? So, okay, so what is meant by courage and strength? Why does Arjuna need courage and strength? Because to see the truth, you need courage and strength. See, Vishwarupa Darshan is nothing but realizing the truth. Seeing God is equivalent to realizing the truth, and we think, okay, God will be a human-like figure who will maybe bless us. God knows what we imagine about blessing and give us what we want. I mean, that's a very rudimentary idea of God. We have already discussed this multiple times. But the philosophical meaning of darshan means a realization. and attainment. Seeing God, being with God, is becoming one with the truth. And the reason you need truth, the reason you need strength and courage is because we live a life of attachment in the comforts of pleasant situations. You and I are sitting peacefully out here because our life is pleasant. Let's accept it. Somebody's life is a little more pleasant, somebody's life, I'm sure each of you have small problems. Some may be having a slightly bigger problem. And if you have a bigger problem, you'll be like, hello, sir, can I speak to you? But nothing is so big that it has overcome us that we have lost our peace of mind. Let's accept that. So we are living very fragile lives and putting up this show of peace and equanimity only because the going is good. But the nature of the world is such, it is an admixture of good and bad, of joy and sorrow, of profit and loss. One who can remain equanimous through everything is one who has realized the truths of life, and in particular the truth. So darshan means that becoming one with the reality and seeing the world for what it is. The closer you are to truth, the more equanimous you are regardless of the circumstances. But for that you need strength, right? If you've done sadhana, that courage is inbuilt in you. You become fearless, abhayam. But Arjuna is one, of course, he was a great individual, but he's not got this darshan with his own capacity. He's been given this darshan by the Lord, which is why maybe he needs to muster up some courage. And as we see later in the when he's having the vision, that he can't withstand it, he can't sustain it, right? Imagine a person who is sitting amidst so much of chaos and pain and so much of conflict, maybe in the middle of Iran. I don't know, I'm giving an example right now, right? Only a few people can sustain all this chaos and still be a pillar of strength. You ask anybody and they'll want peace and calm to be restored, to bring back their sense of equanimity. So it requires peace and it requires strength and courage to be able to withhold the truth and see the inevitable transitions of life, see the dvandvas, see the good and the not so good, see the pleasant and the not so pleasant for what it is, right? We've already seen some part of the Vishwarupa Darshan where the terrible tusks of the Lord are consuming all the warriors, both on the Kaurava side and the Pandava side. Right? The inevitability of Kalaha, that's a fundamental truth of life. Are you able to see it? See, I know some people, the moment you bring up these topics, no, please don't talk about all of this. Please don't talk about all of this. And they're genuine when they say, please don't talk about all of this. I don't. Right? It's very unpleasant. So you need to be fortified to be able to face the truth. Okay? To visualize means to see, to realize. This is just dramatized in the form of an external visualization, but actually it's an inner realization. It's an inner awakening, right? The experiencer merges with the experience to form one homogeneous infinite being. My question, what does homogeneous mean? Homogeneous means unseparated, undifferentiated. It means similar, connected, right? So you are a mass of consciousness only separated by this apparent name and form. But once you transcend this name and form, you will become a homogeneous mass of consciousness merged with the all-pervading consciousness. Right. I'm going through a little, I'm not explaining too much because most of you, I mean, I know some people are new out here, and don't worry, we'll have the chance to come back to these ideas in much more detail, perhaps in a better context where it is, more elaborately explained in the text itself. So don't worry. The palm symbolizes the individual, the base of the palm and the 5 fingers represent Atman and the 5 sheets. Please explain this analogy and tell us about Namaskar. So, look, there are so many interpretations of Namaskar, okay? But whatever interpretation inspires you. So, to a philosophical Vedantin, this is an inspirational interpretation. Okay, the palm is the Atman, and the 5 fingers are the 5 Panchakoshas, right? So joining 2 palms is like literally 2 beings coming together. So I'm meeting you as one, right? Now in different interpretations, the fingers are taken to be different things. In some mudra interpretations, you'll see the thumb is taken to be Atman, this is taken to be ego, this is taken to be body, mind, intellect. So different interpretations exist, but this is one such sort of inspirational, interpretation of see, some people think, okay, there must be some physiological meaning. If I keep doing this, maybe I'll get closer to the Atman. No such thing. Okay. Some people think, okay, I have to sit like this for 2 hours, then my Atman will merge with your Atman. People develop all sorts of funny beliefs about mudras and stuff like that. Pakasya vani vajnanam vina mokshuna siddhyati. Try whatever you want. Knowledge is the fire that will burn away your vasanas, right? Okay. Coming to your later questions. Praying with joint palms, they receive the Lord's blessing for the welfare of the people. Verse number 21. I'm guessing this is when the Siddhas and everybody else is praying with joint palms to the whatever Arjuna is visualizing. So he's visualizing an expansive form of the Lord and all other beings also in this visualizations, and they are praying for the welfare. What is this welfare? What is this blessing? Well, this welfare is the welfare you and I enjoy today. See, it's a beautiful interpretation that so many forces of nature, essentially, atmospheric pressure, temperature, different laws of nature, gravitation. You can think of each of these as departments of the cosmos. And each of these departments have a head, who is a Devta. And those Devtas are essentially managers. And the CEO is Brahman. So they all praying, thank you CEO for funding us, for ensuring that our departments can work well. And because our departments are working well, all these little Lilliputs, these humans on earth, are enjoying their lives, right? So it's a beautiful interpretation of the cosmos that we are essentially indebted to so many Devi Devtas who in turn are manifestations of that supreme CEO, right? The Brahman. So they are praying to Brahman and extolling him for his infinite energy with which this entire cosmos is being enlivened. We have to thank the Devi Devtas for managing their individual departments, but ultimately we have to thank the CEO for running the company, running the show, right? So that's one way. So this is the welfare you and I enjoy today is what the Devi Devtas are sort of graciously thanking the Lord for, right? So the unseen hand of the Lord is ensuring that everything is in place. It's a mystery. And the more you are aligned spiritually, the more you are attuned to this mystery. Otherwise, you need sunrises and sunsets. And I just saw a beautiful sunrise, so I'm totally energized in that moment. Use all the cosmic reminders you can to feel attuned. And slowly, knowledge will keep you forever attuned to this sort of sense of gratitude to the cosmos. Okay. Just imagine all your ancestors of the past continuing to live in the present, yet you do not want your folks to die. Verse number 30. Is this the commentary? This is what Swamiji said. I guess this is the middle of the Vishwarupa Darshan. Okay, yes, this is the verse where everybody is getting swallowed and the Vishwarupa is licking. Okay, the verse describes the Lord's cosmic form as licking after consuming people on all sides, an expression of contentment. The picture appears ghastly. One wonders how the Lord could be so content and happy, a doubt that arises when one fails to recognize the meticulous functioning of the eternal laws that govern the whole universe. Okay, the last line, you're quoting the last line. Without destruction, the world cannot sustain itself. Just imagine all your ancestors of the past continue to live in the present. He's asking you to pause and imagine. No matter how much you love your grandmother, one evening with her is enough, isn't it? Omji, you're an exception. See, this is not a criticism of the grandparent, it's a criticism of the younger generation. They don't understand the value. Old is gold, right? But imagine the grandparents also around, and their grandparents also around. Imagine your great grandparent getting a lecture from their grandparent if everyone was around, right? Oh God. And yet you do not want your folks to die. So he's putting it in a humorous way, and of course, you know, sometimes we need humor to see a lighter side to the inevitability of life, which is everything that has a beginning has an end, and also that everything that ends has another beginning, right? But why don't you want the end to occur? Or at least you say, okay, let me go first. It's not that you don't want the end to occur. You say, let me go first, then you go. Now who's going to go, who's going to come? And interestingly, we only think about it when it's going. We don't think about the wonderment of how something came into our life. So most of you know I'm in a certain position in life. Something is coming. Can we have that same thought of wonderment when something is coming? So look, selfishness is a hard word, but you've hit the nail on the head, because selfishness and attachment are two sides of the same coin. It is attachment. But this is the nature of the mind. Whatever it meets, it gets attached to. And what it gets attached to, attachment, dependency, possessiveness, these are all different shades of the same mental phenomenon. I'm being kind. If Swamiji was here, he would say it's a mental disease. Your attachment is a mental disease. We're all mental patients suffering from uncontrolled attachment. So we are quoting our own suffering. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says all contacts, all enjoyment born of sense contacts are wombs of sorrow. Now he's not criticizing enjoyments in the world. What he's saying is that your foolish mind gets attached to whatever it meets. So while it is lost in the complacency of that enjoyment, insidiously it is getting more and more dependent, attached, and not wanting to think about the inevitabilities, right? That doesn't mean you should be pessimistic and always think, okay, everything is going to end. No, it's a truth you softly hold in your soul, gently, quietly, and that's what makes you a philosopher, right? So yes, we don't want things to end. We don't want anything we're attached to face an inevitability because of our attachment. And why are we so, you've used the word selfish, why are we so selfish? Why? Because it's the nature of the human mind to get attached. But if you have the axe of Vedanta, in chapter 15 he says, use this axe of detachment to cut asunder this Ashvatha, of attachment. So use this axe of Vedanta, and you always have to keep this axe every now and then. It's a silent communion you have with yourself, where life will give you a glimpse, and you'll realize I'm getting attached. Right? It's not that you have to change anything outside. It's a mental orientation. And it's not something you can do mechanically. You have to let knowledge do its work. Knowledge is what turns you detached. Right? So you stick to your sadhana, you stick to your pursuit of knowledge, you stick to your reflection, manana. Automatically, this axe will become sharper. Your weaponry will become, and that's the chakra, right? We were talking about the Chaturbhuj Vishnu. Incidentally, is Prachi here? No, Prachi is missing today, is it? So I was thinking about your question last time, that is there any other, why is only Gada and Chakra mentioned? And then I realized that the last verse of the Vishnu Sahasranam also, Vanamali Gadi Shangi Shanki Chakri Chanandaki, he only mentions Shank, Gada and Chakra. He doesn't mention the lotus, right? But again, that doesn't mean that the lotus is not there, right? Okay, this is a verse that is asking for protection, right? Okay, may the Narayan protect us, who is Vanamali, who is wearing the forest garlands, who is with these, divine armaments. So it's not like, there are many places in the scriptures where perhaps only some of the ornaments are mentioned and some of the weapons are mentioned, but that doesn't mean the exclusion of the other. Perhaps it's indicating, okay, what is emphasized in that context, right? It's worth thinking about.
I was thinking about this question as well, and I was thinking whether this question even warrants asking, in the sense, how we sometimes, when we read poems, we're always trying to decipher meaning and context about each and every line that the poet has written, and, what it could mean in different contexts, and everyone has a different interpretation. And even for this, everyone had different interpretations. But I was thinking that, how much of these interpretations are really relevant while reading the Bhagavad Gita and asking questions on, things we think about, when it's not really related to the larger
See,
learning or...
No, it's not about not related. And I think I'll just quickly address this. And if you've been with me in class long enough, you would have understood there's no right answer.
Yeah.
Right? The idea is to, and which is why so many commentaries exist. And of course, some commentaries are given more importance than other commentaries, and some interpretations are given more importance than other interpretations. Some interpretations are more everlasting, whereas some are more contextual, right? So which is why, for example, we consider Shankara Bhashya, the commentary written by Adi Shankaracharya, to be a pillar of the interpretation, say, of a certain scripture. But that doesn't mean that other interpretations are not relevant. Maybe they just have a certain relevance in a certain time, more contextual relevance. And all of the learning is not only learning, but even all of your bhakti, all of your upasana, all of your experiences in life are to build a certain conviction in you, to build a certain connection in you. So if a certain interpretation helps, if a certain interpretation makes sense and it builds a certain connection, it's totally fine, right? It's just that interpretation shouldn't be, lopsided or altogether, people come up with funny interpretations also. So you want to avoid those things, right? So for the sake of discussion and for the sake of, sort of engagement, multiple interpretations are possible, and no one is right or wrong. Okay. You are in Salasar. Okay. Great. Wonderful. Salasar ji. Those of you who don't know Salasar, it's in Rajasthan. Hanumanji, it's a Hanuman Mandir. Hanumanji had the great potential, and only when Jambantji, that is Jambavan, pointed it out, did he remember it? So Rashmiji is talking about that occasion where I'm guessing this is that incident where while building the Ram Setu, and all the Vanaras were like, oh my god, how will we build it and stuff like that, or even prior to that. And I think, did Lord Rama or someone tell him that, okay, please go to Lanka and send a message to Ma Sita? And Hanumanji was like, how will I do it? What do you mean I have to do it? And Jambavan reminded him that you don't know who you are. You don't know the siddhis you have. You are Vayuputra. And realizing that, remembering his essential nature, that's when he reconnected with the siddhis, and he grew to an enormous size, and he was able to leap across and reach Lanka. And again, all of this is beautifully symbolic. Beautifully symbolic. See, Hanumanji at large represents a sadhak, and a perfected sadhak. One who has attained that purity of knowledge and devotion. So he's the archetype devotee, a devotee who is completely immersed in the thought of God and in the service of God. Incidentally, we think devotion means to ask God for something. Hanumanji never asked for anything. Devotion is not about asking. Devotion is about ananya chinta. So all those parables about Hanumanji, taking the necklace and putting it by his ear and then throwing away the necklace. You know that incident? The necklace didn't say Ram, so he threw it away. The idea being that no matter how precious something is, if it is not connected to the truth, if it is not something that takes him closer to reality, you discard it. That's a great message for a sadhak. That you may be enamored by any number of things in the world, but until and unless it is constructive for your sadhana, it's not worth it. Don't waste your time and energy on it. But like every seeker has forgotten their true nature, their essential nature. And that's Hanumanji. He's also forgotten that he is a siddha. But once you are reminded of it by a guru, which is Jambavan, once you're reminded of it by your sadhana, and for Hanumanji, because he was such a great soul, he remembered it like that. You and me are taking a little more time, but we'll also remember. And as we remember, as we align ourselves to our larger identity, right now we are constricted in this egoism. We think we are this little ego, this small name and form. But the more we align ourselves to our larger cosmic identity, the more strength and the more dynamism we'll gain. And we see this all across the world. People who take up an unselfish goal are able to move mountains, aren't they? Anyone who has a vision to do something larger, they gain a certain energy which they couldn't have imagined that they possessed. But that latent energy comes to life the moment they commit to something larger than themselves. Right? This is a very common and a well-known corporate mantra also, that you have you have to align with your why. And the larger the why, the larger the mission. When you have your mission statement clear, amazing things happen. Amazing forces join you in your endeavor. As Mahatma Gandhi says, find purpose, means will follow. And means not only from outside, but even within you. You'll be capable of extraordinary things. So this is the strength and the dynamism that comes as you commit yourself to a larger vision, a larger identity than your own selfish, limited ego. And that's what's represented by Hanumanji gaining that, or realizing that he had that siddhi, that power, only when he remembered, oh, I'm not this small little monkey. Or I'm not just this. Right? Okay. Any other questions? Ankit, you have your hand up for some time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, so I think, you spoke about the topic a little bit when answering one of Rashmiji's questions. But in the commentary for the 20th verse, Swamiji says that, we are fearful in the context of Arjuna fearing the cosmic form because of the disparity between him and Brahman. And the closer we get to Brahman, the fear will dispel and eventually vanish. But, in life, you're more often afraid of the Lord's creations rather than the Lord itself. You really don't have cognizance of Brahman. You're more afraid of, what will happen to, your stocks because of the war, or what will happen to you in case of, COVID striking or something. So what is it that we are essentially fearing, and why are we fearing, and can we eliminate those fears, or can we just sort of manage them and be brave in the face of fear?
So look, in this context, when he's mentioning that disparity is a cause of fear, right? When he says disparity, he means otherness. Where there is an otherness, there is a disparity. And that is one of the causes of fears, right? Or one of the expressions of fears. There are several other manifestations of fear and underlying causes of fear, which all have a single source essentially, but we can express it in different ways. So otherness is one of them. Attachment is another cause of fear, because where there is attachment, there is dependency on the object of attachment, and the moment that is threatened, there is fear of losing what you are attached to. Ignorance is a cause of fear of the dark, not knowing where you are headed. Ego is a cause of fear because you have a strong sense of self-preservation and you think you are being attacked. That's why an egoistic person always thinks they are being attacked. May not be physically, but even mentally. It's like, ideologically, intellectually, whatever, right? Selfishness is a cause of fear because it's an interesting psychology. When you are selfish, you're always looking at what can I do for myself, and the more the selfishness, at what cost? You're willing to push others down for your own sake. And psychology works this way, wherein if you are selfish, you'll expect others are selfish also. So in the vicinity of others, you'll think, oh, they will do the same as you do, perhaps. Just as you bring others down, they will also do their best to bring you down. So there's an underlying, predisposition of fear that, oh, everything is working against me, whether I know it or not. So all of these are causes of fear. All of them have their sort of root in, a false identity of who you are. The moment you fix who you are, the moment you realign to, or even the process of realignment, the less you become egoistic, the more you gain knowledge, the more the oneness you feel, the more detached you become. All of this is a consequence of vidya, knowledge. Automatically fear reduces, right? Which is why the first quality of a divine person, who is the divine person? One who has gained knowledge of the truths of life. And the first quality of a divine person is abhayam. You may wear divine ornaments, but you may not have divine qualities. And if you don't have knowledge, if you don't have the true divine virtues, then you'll be afraid, right? So divinity is not an outward expression of grandeur, it's an inner purity, right? And the more you're aligned with divine knowledge, to that extent you'll be unafraid, right? Fearless.
But for example, someone who's gone through traumatic experiences, whether physical and more importantly emotional, psychological, and has something like post-traumatic stress disorder or something, PTSD. I mean, can they really become abhayam? Won't those triggers always will knowledge?
See, we're not here to we're not here to present a hunky-dory picture. Now, the deeper you are down the rabbit hole, the more effort you'll have to pull to crawl back, and the harder it becomes, right? So we're not talking about the fact that yes, such realities exist where people, because of certain inevitable and unfortunate events in their life, and in the absence of a support system and knowledge, are unable to pull themselves out of it. Or even if they're able to pull themselves out of it, the remnants and the unseen consequences of these remain psychologically. So we're not denying that such things are a reality, but and as we say that the 11th hour of battle is not the time to start gaining knowledge. Although that's when people, that's the paradox, that people generally come to seek a solution once the problem is already progressed to some extent. But we're not pessimistic. As the Lord says, even the greatest of sinners is able to pull themselves up with the raft of knowledge. So it may require a lot more patience. It may require a lot more psychological intervention. The method may not be as simple as merely communicating knowledge through a class like this, right? It may require a lot more handholding. It may require many other therapeutic measures to pull one out of certain psychological conditions. But is it altogether impossible? I don't think so. Otherwise, why would we be, talking out here, right? So, such psychological situations are real, and people going through them are going through something very real. We're not here to dismiss it, but the fact that knowledge is an antidote to this, and we all know knowledge, not intellectual understanding, a slow, gradual assimilation of truth, a slow, gradual transformation in your own worldview. That's what we mean by knowledge. That is a true antidote to turn you self-sufficient, to turn you fortified, to turn you into a pillar of strength. You see this all the time. You see different people react to situations in such incredible ways. Some people just have it inbuilt. God knows, maybe they're carrying past wisdom. I don't know. Whereas other people when put in certain situations tend to crumble. Now we're not judging those who crumble and putting on a pedestal those who don't. That's not the idea. We're not here to glorify anyone or diminish anyone, but to recognize that there is an underlying knowledge which is able to either sustain or resurrect people, right, and pull them out of certain psychological tendencies. Short answer is yes, it's possible. Not so easy. I always think of Vedanta as better for prevention than for cure, right? So if you're already in a certain situation where you need some curing, at least the way in which we convey Vedanta or a setting like this is not sort of altogether sufficient for most people. Not because there's anything lacking in the knowledge, but because they require a different kind of intervention. And once someone is relatively stable to that extent, they'll be able to maybe associate or even listen, have that mental sort of state to actually listen. So different kind of interventions exist, and they're all very important to help one out of various psychological conditions. But what's undeniable is that knowledge is an act. Yeah.
Since you're talking of fear, Utsaji, the meaning, the definition of the fear is, you may be knowing also, fantasizing an event appearing real. So we are actually, when we are afraid, only when we fantasize. And that is only through knowledge that fantasy can be removed. Because it's all false.
Yes, Omji, but the reason, and I don't want to dismiss what you're saying, because at one standpoint, this is true. But for those who are fantasizing, that fantasy is real, right? And, it's very difficult to simply tell someone you're fantasizing. Otherwise, this would be extremely easy. So from an empathetic position, it's very important to understand that those who are going through a certain state of fear, they have their own reasons
No,
to,
psychological
you know,
reasons are
be
I
there.
there.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
mean,
pulling someone out is a very delicate process. It's a very
Yeah,
delicate process.
it is true.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah, just to, yeah. So, you know, someone who going through something like this, these kind of experiences, like, you know, I guess the way to look at it is that, you know, it is just part of the journey, and we shouldn't really like be like, okay, like this person ought to necessarily, like, you know, could be any other way or should really be optimized or something. I mean, we don't
Look,
really need to judge
you have,
them.
no. See, different people will take their own course in dealing with something, right? And as you gain knowledge, along with knowledge, you also have to gain the ability to communicate it in a way that the other person can receive it and benefit from it, right? So you, if you're around such people and you have the duty and responsibility to address, you know, them, support them emotionally and intellectually, as we said in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, that knowledge is taken, not given. So they have to be prepared to receive it. But even that preparation, you can have a role in it. If you create an environment of support and of emotional safety, you know, what they call a safe space, sort of well-known term. And if you can bring them to a place of relative emotional stability, right? Because emotions understand emotions. Emotion doesn't understand knowledge. When a person is in an emotional state, you can't give them concepts and ideas. So all of these things have to be intelligently dealt with to, and you can play a very important role, you know, in supporting one's journey, maybe expediting their path to, you know, resurrecting themselves and becoming self-sufficient, right? But yes, it's an inevitable part of their journey. Simply having pity on them will not help. That's not the idea. Oh, bichare, they had to go through this is their karma. All of these things are um, pointless statements, right? But yes, it is their journey in the sense that the path to any understanding and any growth is a gradual process. Some people learn directly, some people learn by stumbling, some people need a little bit of balm, a little bit of massaging, you know, right? So you have to assess what the other person is capable of receiving.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I think we may not complete the Vishwarupa, but we'll complete the some portion of it at least, right? So we'll continue from verse number 31. Okay. आख्याहि मे को भवानुग्रु आख्याहि मे को भवानुग्र what आख्याहि मे को आख्याहि मे को भवानुग्रूपोः नमोऽस्तु ते देववर प्रसीद विज्ञातुमिच्छामि भवन्तमाद्यं न हि प्रजानामि तव प्रवृत्तिम् श्रीभगवानुवाच कालोऽस्मि यक्षत्कृत् प्रवृद्धो कालोऽस्मि लोकक्षयकृत् प्रवृद्धः लोकान् समाहूर्तमिह प्रवृत्तः ऋतेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे ये वस्थिताः प्रत्यनिकेषु योधाः. I'll chant that again. Something's happened to me today. भगवानुवाच कालोऽस्मि क्षयकृत् प्रवृद्धः लोकान् समाहूर्तुमिह प्रवृत्तः ऋतेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे येव स्थिता प्रत्यनिकेषु योधाः तस्मात् त्वमित्तिष्ठ यशो लभस्व जित्वा शत्रून् भुङ्क्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धम् मयैवैते निहिताः पूर्वमेव निमित्तमात्रं भव सव्यसाचिन् द्रोणं च भीष्मं च जयद्रथं च कर्णं तथान्यानपि योधवीरान् मया हतांस्त्वः जहिमा व्यथिष्ठाः युध्यस्व जेतासि रणे सपत्नान्. So Arjuna is requesting the Lord to explain, elaborate, give some meaning to what he is witnessing, because he is witnessing something that's not so comfortable. Please explain, what's your purpose? What is the meaning of all of this? I don't understand. Why am I seeing a terrible form with tusks and consuming? So Arjuna is not able to wrap his head around the truth, wrap his head around the meaning of Kalaha. And that's the form that the Lord is displaying. So make known to me who you are, fierce in form, Ugraha, Ugra Rupa. Salutations, salute you. See, you'll salute something that you fear because you want it not to, come in your way. So this is not salutation in the form of extreme devotion. It is salutation with a sense of fear. I don't know what I am beholding in front of me. Please have mercy on me. I want to understand. I want to know you. O primeval. What is the purpose of this form of yours? What is the message behind it? What is the meaning behind it? And the famous words of Lord Krishna, he says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, I am the mighty world-destroying time, engaged here in annihilating the worlds. Even without you, all these warriors arrayed in the opposing armies shall not live. For those of you who have seen the movie Oppenheimer, you've seen Oppenheimer? The oft-quoted verse, the scientist Oppenheimer quoted this word from the Bhagavad Gita. This was the verse he quoted from the Bhagavad Gita. Kalosmi lokakshayakrit pravriddha lokan samharitumiha pravrittiha. I am the mighty world-destroying time. I am Kalaha. Lokayakshakrita pravriddha. The mighty world-destroying Kalaha, time. Engaged here in annihilating the worlds. So this form of mine you're beholding is an aspect of my entire infinite form. And this form is Kalaha. And the role of Kalaha, an essential aspect, when we say Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Shiva represents that force of disillusion. So in many Shiva Sutras also, they'll relate Lord Shiva to Kalaha. But all of them are one. It's not that these are different entities. So out here, the Brahman is manifesting as Kalaha. And the role of Kalaha is to march on and consume everything. So all worlds that are manifesting will ultimately become unmanifest. All beings that are born will ultimately dissolve. And where do they dissolve? Into the mouth of Kalaha. Now to you who is not reconciled to this, it appears as a ghastly form. You are seeing it as a ghastly form with tusks and with this terrible vision because you are not prepared to see it. Your mind is not reconciled to this truth. If your mind is reconciled to this truth, you will be like Prahlada, who's praying to Lord Narasimha with a smile on his face. Right? So each of us is between Prahlada and Hiranyakshipu. We're all in the spectrum between Prahlada and Hiranyakshipu. If we've reached the state of Prahlada, we will be totally graciously welcoming the Ugram form of Narasimha. If we are Hiranyakshipu, egoistic, we'll be terrified, wanting to battle it, wanting to protect ourselves from it. right? So I am the mighty world destroying time, engaged in annihilating the worlds. Even without you, you are just a instrument to Arjuna. He's going to use that term right now. Even without you, all these warriors arrayed in the opposing army shall not live. So it's a matter of time for these warriors in the opposing army. Time will consume them. Therefore, you arise and acquire fame. Yashaha. You do your bidding, play your part in this wheel of time, in this Kala Chakraha, and having conquered your foes, enjoy the prosperous kingdom. Verily, they have already been slain by me. You are a mere instrument. Arjuna didn't understand this knowledge. Arjuna didn't understand chapter 2 through chapter 10, and which is why in chapter 11 he is given this grand vision. Because if not through knowledge, you understand through a sense of grandeur and fear. Oh Arjuna, do your part. Play your role as a warrior. Do your swadharma because your intention is right. It is aligned with dharma. Your purpose, your cause is aligned with dharma. And having conquered these enemies, enjoy the prosperous kingdom. There's no problem in that. I know that's not your intention. I know you're not entering this with a place of selfishness and you're not scheming and planning and doing something unrighteous just for the sake of a selfish gain of kingdom. But there's no harm in that as an outcome of your righteous endeavor. All these warriors who you are worrying about, they have already been slain. In the wheel of time, you are a mere instrument. Nimitta matra. You are a mere instrument. This is a very deep philosophical idea. This is the heart of Karma Yoga. When you're totally aligned to the path of Karma Yoga, you evolve to seeing yourself as a mere instrument in the hands of God. God functioning through you. God has designed you to play a part. God has given you a swadharma which you need to simply fulfill. That's your contribution to this entire Leela. O Sabyasachi. We arrogate actions to our ego and we think I am the doer. We think I am doing it. Oh, if I don't do it, it will not happen. We think of ourselves as indispensable. No doubt, in this situation, in this circumstance, if you don't do it, it won't happen. No doubt about it. But Kalaha is much bigger than you. If not you, something else will come in the way. I mean, Kalaha will manifest something else. Will send something else to do the bidding. So Kalaha is incomprehensible. The way of karma is incomprehensible. You can't understand why things come, why things go, why things happen, what is meant to happen, what is not meant to happen. Don't try to understand it also. It's gehera, it is deep. Gahana, he uses the word gahana. So it is incomprehensible. But what you can conceive is what is your part in it. You have been sent into this world with a deha, with a certain guna, with a swadharma. All you need to do is fulfill your swadharma selflessly, without kartritva, without bhoktritva. You are a mere instrument. Your physical prowess has been given to you. Your mental prowess has been given to you. Your intellectual prowess has been given to you. With these instruments, you are simply executing an action. It's not something you built. It's a gift. All the knowledge you possess, it's because of the gift of intellect that was given to you. All the mountains you have scaled, it's because the gift of the body that was given to you. So don't arrogate your capabilities, don't arrogate your actions, don't arrogate your role in the whole thing. You're a mere instrument. It's a very difficult truth to digest. But once you digest it, it makes beautiful sense. So Arjuna, Uttishtha, Tasmat Uttishtha, O Bharata. All these people in the other army, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, all of these are Kaurava heroes and other heroic warriors. They have already been slain by me. So even though you kill them, you're a mere instrument in killing them. So don't be distressed. Your intention is right, and that's what matters in an action. Your intention is what matters in an action. If you have an intention, if you have an iota of selfishness in your action, then I will stop you. What matters in any action is your intention. Intention to do good and intention to do to the best of your ability. That's all that matters. Tasmat uttishta yudhyasva, fight. I have no doubt, given your capabilities, you shall conquer all these enemies. So the Vishwarupa is speaking to Arjuna and giving him this reassurance. Knowledge didn't reassure him, knowledge didn't give him the clarity. So when you hear it from a Vishwarupa, it's like, when a very senior person comes and tells you, do it. Nothing else made sense, but you get a certain confidence. Okay, this person whom I respect, who I look up to, who I surrender to, telling me something, I'll just do it. So when nothing else helps, the Vishwarupa darshan will help. And that's the idea. And Sanjay is watching all of this. Sanjay Uvacha. Etachrutva vachanam keshavasya kritanjalirvepamanah kiriti namaskritva bhuya evaha krishnam sagadgadam bhita pranamya. Sanjaya Uvacha. So the narrator of all of this, Sanjaya, who is speaking to Dhritarashtra, is saying, having heard that speech of Keshava, the crowned one, trembling, saluting with joined palms, bowing, overwhelmed with fear, spoke again to Krishna in a choked voice. So interestingly, he uses the term Krishna out here. He doesn't say Bhagavan, right? And that's because of what's about to come. Arjuna is going to say, "Oh Vishwarupa, come back to your form as Krishna." So he wishes to speak to Krishna, not to the Vishwarupa any longer. Having heard the speech of the mighty Keshava, this crowned one, Arjuna, the crowned one, means the one wearing the crown. Arjuna was trembling, he was afraid, he was not able to digest what he's seeing. And he's saluting, he's bowing in fear with joined palms, overwhelmed with what he has seen. And he said to Krishna these following words in a choked voice. So not being able to speak. He's choked because he's not being able to speak. That fear is manifesting in his body, right? He's not able to digest it all. So what does he say? We'll see in the next class. So verse number 36 onwards, for the next 10 odd verses, he'll glorify what he has seen. He'll ask for mercy. He'll say, "Oh Krishna, I've always seen you as Krishna. I never saw that. I never imagined that you are Bhagavan yourself. Oh my God, please forgive me. Every time I have called you names as a friend, all these things he's going to say, and he's saying, please show me back your normal form. I want to see Krishna. I've got the message. Okay, your Vishwarupa has given me that confidence. I've got the message. Now please come back to your normal form." And that's going to be the conclusion of the chapter, but we will take it up in the next class. I'll pause quickly if there are any quick questions, and after that I'll be on my way. So anything anybody would like to ask?
Hari Om. So Sanjay is also seeing the Vishwarupas and he's telling this to Dhritarashtra. Aren't they understanding how the Lord is, and what about the effects on those people?
So Sanjaya, the name itself is coming from Samyak Jayate, one who gained victory over oneself. So it is one who recognizes the truth through his own drishti, through his own capacity, as opposed to Arjuna, who is not capable of seeing it, has been given a divya drishti temporarily. So Sanjaya is not one who is terrified. In fact, in the end of the Bhagavad Gita, in the last couple of verses, Sanjaya will say, "I am still mesmerized by that Vishwarupa I saw, and I still cannot stop thinking about it." Right? For someone who is who has risen to see truth, it's not a terrifying thing. In fact, it's a reassuring thing that karma is functioning. There is a thing that is ordaining things. As Adi Shankaracharya said, "Kate kanta dhanagata chinta, vatulakim tava nasti niyanta." What is this worry about your health and your wealth and your family and your positions, your life, this and that? Do the worry. That is ensuring that everything functions meticulously. What's your worry about it? The extent to which you are immersed in truth, there will be a fearless everything in life.